Welcome to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple, with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket, thanks to titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.
Whispering Loudly is the Workshop Whisperer podcast. G'day, I'm producer Mel. We are 15 seasons in now. Do you know what I should get you, Rach, for being 15 seasons in? First of all, some sort of medal or trophy I think is in order. And then a recliner, because you could actually... You're probably so relaxed now as a podcast host. You know, people Google that some of their top fears are, you know, speaking in front of an audience, but you would probably do it in a deck chair these days, wouldn't you?
Well, look, I think there's a little bit of fear always,
really?
No matter where you speak, and it's healthy. It's what makes us courageous. We can't have courage without fear. So, always get a few butterflies before I speak.
That just means you care. We are joined by Brad and Joanne Lowe from the Engine Room today, and we're so excited to have them. These guys are in Geelong, actually, just outside Melbourne, and they own Geelong Transport Repairs. Thank you so much for joining us on Whispering Loudly.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much for having us.
Brad and Joanne, it is so wonderful whenever we have some of our Engine Room clients on Whispering Loudly. And you guys aren't just Engine Room clients, you're actually Workshop Warriors now, which is our top program for those who have done the amazing foundational work required to really get your business moving, and you've hit some really important milestones with revenue, with profit, and you're really starting to look at the end game and what it looks like to use your business to grow wealth outside of it. And there's lots of exciting things ahead there. So first of all, congratulations on that. And secondly, thanks for taking some time out of the business today so that we can have a chat.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah. No, it's a real pleasure to be here and a real honour to be part of the Workshop Warriors. So thanks, Rachael.
Now, guys, why don't you tell everyone listening a little bit about Geelong Transport Repairs?
We started the business 11 years ago. We're we're a heavy vehicle road transport workshop. So we only work on heavy vehicles over 4.5 tonnes. We don't, we chose years ago to pick our lane and stick in it, which I think is part of sort of what makes us successful. And we wanted to customise in fleet servicing for general repairs and maintenance and try and specialise a bit more in diagnostics as well. So, we don't deal with bread and butter mum and dads or four-wheel drives or anything like that. So, that's sort of our lane, and we know that, and that's what we stick to. So.
Going back 11 years, how did you get started? Like, was it literally you handed in your resignation somewhere one day and you opened up your own business the next? What happened?
Pretty much it was exactly that.
Right.
I'd worked for a couple of places and, worked myself up to workshop manager in one large national fleet company, and I was a workshop manager in Geelong, and then my role grew but my income didn't, and I found myself doing a lot of national stuff and still having to run my workshop plus another Melbourne workshop plus do Melbourne international stuff. So that got too much, so I went to a different place, and then it got to the point where I came home one day and said to Joe, I resigned today, I'm done, I'm over it, I'm starting my own business. And I think it took a week or two for Joe's floor to lift up off the floor, but that's what we did.
There's a lot of trepidation, a lot of nervousness.
But here we are 11 years later.
There's been a lot of ups and downs in that, I can tell you, but here we are.
And how many people are in the organisation that you have now?
Currently, we've got myself and Joe now is full-time in the business as well. And we have 3 full-time qualified techs and 3 apprentices throughout various stages of their apprenticeship.
Yeah, amazing. And I imagine that kind of might put the fear of God into a few listeners out there having 3 apprentices at once. But is it like raising kids and going through all of that again? Or are they switched on young people and you're loving the process?
It's a little bit of both, actually. And our first year apprentice that we have is actually autistic. So we've taken that on board, which presents its very own challenges, but it is also so rewarding to see and be able to help somebody that has a disability out like that to see them grow into a career that they want to do too. So.
And for our listeners that can hear the banging in the background, Joe and Brad are actually in their business today, so it's all okay. There's nothing wrong with your sound. Thinking about the start and thinking about what you've learned over the past 11 years in business, if you could start again, is there anything that you would do differently?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, where do you start?
Yeah, look, I think the main thing is that, when we started, we were making, initially after we got off the ground, we were making some good money. At the end of the year, our turnover would be great, but we would actually have no money in the bank. And, it was sort of like, well, where's all that money gone? And it sort of felt like, you're working for nothing with nothing to show for it. So I think one of the things that we would, if we could start again, knowing our numbers really would be key to it all. Knowing our numbers, knowing our KPIs, but also, understanding what they all mean as well, having an idea of what we should be aiming for with our numbers and our KPIs. And I guess also how to manage money and track money, because we had no idea how to do that. And so we were always behind in our bills and being really stressed about how to set up payment plans and all those sorts of things with people. So Profit First sort of has helped us enormously try and put some structure around our money management, along with just having an idea of what we should be aiming for with our KPIs. I think in terms of our guys, our techs, it was also around tracking each tech's KPIs. So having an understanding that we really should know what their efficiency and productivity is at all time. And that's made a huge difference to understanding where money is being lost in the business just through their efficiency and productivity. And switching over to continuous time clocking, it's been a huge help in being able to track their hours as well. Did
you resist time clocking for a while, like so many do?
We were worried about what the guys would think about it, that we were trying to monitor them and trying to take away their sense of, freedom or something, I guess, just that more around monitoring them. But at the end of the day, we just felt like, well, it is our business at the end of the day, and they're all taking home their money at the end of the fortnight. So we need to be making sure that we're taking home some money as well. And it's really about making people accountable for their roles in the business. So there wasn't a lot of hesitancy in the end. We did it over a process of some time.
And I guess, like so many others, we thought we were doing the right thing. We were tracking how many hours on a job and whatnot to invoice and stuff. But it's all the little things that you lose along the way that can make a massive difference that we weren't capturing. One of the things that we learned in the engine room, and I guess it's sort of, a lot of people think, oh, this is a no-brainer, but it's to be able to measure something, you've got to be able to measure it before you can change it. Unless you know that it's broken, you just keep going thinking that everything's okay.
Yeah.
Until you realise, well, here's this big slap in the face with a wet fish going, this is what's wrong, this is what you need to fix.
Definitely.
It's knowing what to measure as well. I relate it back to, you can have the greatest diagnostic tool in the world, but if you don't know how to operate it or read it, it's just a box.
Yeah, it's useless. Yeah.
Yeah, just adding on to a couple of others, if we started again, it's also what we would do is create a process for practically everything that we do, because we've come to realise that when you have processes in place that are written down, it gives you the opportunity to be able to walk away from the business and have a day off or go on a holiday. And there are, processes there that other people can follow.
Yeah.
So there's an ability for people to step up and give you some time off. So that's something that we've learned just over the last couple of years of being in the engine room. How important that is.
Want to find out how the Workshop Whisperer team can put your auto repair shop on the path to business success? Head to www.workshopwhisperer.com/whispering loudly to claim your free workshop success session with the team.
Let's talk now about the engine room and where you were before as opposed to where you are now. What's the difference that you see?
Chalk and cheese. Absolutely. Yeah. We were looking at today. It was actually May 2020 when we joined the engine room. So it's been virtually exactly 2 years.
Yes.
And I still remember the phone conversation we had and where we were before. Joe and I, but pretty much without a word of a lie, the two of us were sitting in our office in tears. Sorry, I'm getting emotional about it now. Just with where we were in business and where we were personally and financially, and we were virtually ready to close the doors. And that was 2 years ago. And now, as you said before, we're now in the Warriors program, and we've just recently purchased an investment property. Our bills get paid every month on time. Money's all allocated because of profit first. That was a massive game changer for us. Where we were then and where we are now, our net profit, well, total revenue is up by 23%. Mm-hmm. But the killer, and this is not a word of a lie, our net profit from when we first started to now in 2 years is up by 78%.
Mm-hmm. Which I can say it's extraordinary because it is. That is a massive improvement. But at the same time, we've seen it time and again. When you get in and you do the work like you guys have, even when there's been tough times, you haven't felt like it, but you've still showed up to almost every webinar that we've run in 2 years, and we run them weekly. You guys have been there and you've booked your one-on-one calls with the coaches. You've turned up, you've got your action items, and then you go away and implement it. And that's how a 70-something% improvement in net profit happens. So extraordinary, yes, but at the same time, when you just do the work, it happens naturally. Congratulations to you both. I'm just so happy for both of you.
Oh, thanks, Rachael.
Don't get me wrong. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but there were times there, we've come off webinars or we've come off, especially some of our coaching calls. We've finished a coaching call and I've just, excuse my language, but I've just lost my shit. And, kicking chairs and throwing stuff and, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this anymore. I've had enough. And then I've turned around and gone, don't be a dick. Get on with it. Pull your head back in and get on and do the work. And we have.
Which I think, that's probably leads into one of the biggest things probably that's changed is, Brad's stress and his frustration with everything has changed. And because, we've been shown different ways to go about dealing with those things and different ways to think about those things. So it's not just the structural sort of process-related things in the business that have changed for us. It's how we've gone about thinking about things and communicating with our staff, with our team. Yeah.
Well, the personal transformation in both of you, I've had the privilege of witnessing, as have the other coaches and indeed your fellow warriors and engine roomers. And I can just see that you are two much happier human beings. It's an absolute joy and a privilege for us to be on this journey with you. Congratulations again for all the work that you've done, but also for all the amazing things that are going to happen for not just the both of you, but, yourselves and your daughter and the people that work for you in the future. There's so many exciting things that are on their way. So thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and sharing with our Whispering Loudly listeners. It takes a bit of bravery to get on when you're not used to doing this kind of thing, but you're both champions and have given our listeners some really insightful things to think about, how you show up, and even when you're angry with some advice that you've received, you just get on with it and do it anyway. So thank you both so much.
Oh, thanks, Rachael. And we wouldn't be able to do it without yourself and the engine room team. And it's you guys that there's a saying in the engine room that to change what's around you, you must change what's within you. Being part of the engine room over the 2 years has really shown us how to do that. So thank you.
So thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. It's our pleasure. We look forward to seeing you prosper for many, many years to come. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.